me yet because it usually takes a minute, but I'm just going to keep talking in case. But everyone, we don't have a chapter this week. I hope you're all doing very well. I'm just refresh. Oh yeah, we started. We're good. All right, cool. You guys can hear me. Hope y'all are doing well. It's a break week this week, so I figured we just talk about some One Piece. I actually just finished a not a reaction, but a redacted video with Sai. We talked about the Marines, so that should be up tomorrow, I think. But I want to talk to you guys about some Elbaf. I know the last chapter ended off on a crazy point, so maybe we can talk a little bit about some Haki shenanigans or other future Elbaf expectations. I'm down to talk about whatever you guys want. I got a few theories to bounce off you guys, but first I'm trying to get some music going, because I did not do that. And you know what music I'm going to listen to? Is the Expedition 33 OST, because it's stuck in my head. Well, I mean, there's plenty of different songs to choose from, but have you all been playing Expedition 33? There we go. Now I got it. Man, the Expedition 33 music's too good. Like, my mood just... I mean, I was already in a really good mood, to be honest with you, but now I'm just kind of ready to play some Expedition 33, which, I mean, if you guys want, I could, but maybe that's better served for Twitch. There's the chat. How y'all doing? Char, you said unexpected stream. Yep, absolutely. And actually, we're going to be streaming just maybe for an hour or two, some predictions or whatever for the next chapter. But then, or even the rest of Elbaf. I know I put 11:49 predictions, but who knows what's going to be 11:49. It can happen anytime in Elbaf. But tomorrow, I'm going to be doing the TCG giveaway stream. I'll post about that later, but that'll be tomorrow afternoon. And then Sunday, I don't know when on Sunday, but Sunday I'll be doing an anime reaction for the... I still haven't seen the episode with Saturn, and we'll have another one, because I think last week was like the weird chibi chopper recap episode thing. But I think we get another one this week, right? So I should have two. But either way, I'll have at least one to do Sunday. So we got a few streams coming up. Alejandro, you said the OST is straight fire. Guys, the OST in Expedition 33 is like... it's mind-blowingly good. And you guys know that was like a guy off of SoundCloud who did that? Because the Sandfall, the team for Expedition 33, is really small, and they literally got this guy off SoundCloud. That's like how they found him, and he made the whole OST, so it's wild. It's wild. Steve, you said no spoilers, please. Steve, I love calling you Steve, because that's not your real name, but, you know, that's what we're going with. You said no spoilers. You talking for Expedition 33? I won't spoil anything other than talking about its greatness. But you should definitely play. And Steve, I'm hoping to come home Saturday. I will text you for sure when I know, but I'm hoping Saturday, and then we can meet up. Char, you said, oh snap, nice. Can't wait for the TCG. I'm making my first deck at the moment. Oh, hell yeah. I still haven't played the game a lot, but I did look up like how it works, and I watched some people like do tournaments and stuff, and honestly, it's really cool. I actually really like the way the game works. I can't remember all the verbiage off the top of my head, but the way there's like different styles you can play with the blockers or rush or whatever. I can't remember everything, but it's awesome. Vex, you said, what do you think Chopper is up to in Saul's beard? Thank you for getting me on topic to talk about One Piece, because my ADHD was definitely going haywire. But that's a really good question. You know, something that Sai and I talked about is... I think we talked about it in the collab I did on his channel. I don't know if that ended up making the video that he did, because we talked for a really long time, and I think he cut some of it out, which I get because it was so long. But something we talked about is, you know, Chopper's just observing everything right now that's going on with Robin and Summers. Like, they still don't know that he's in there, right? So I think Oda's cooking something with him, but something that Sai and I said is that Chopper was also in the library where, you know, the owl was, and he can talk to animals, so he should probably talk to the owl. And also, they talked about how, like, the books have medical knowledge, and how some of the books were, like, or they were small. They can't make them the right size. They're too big for Chopper. That's what it was. They're too big, and they can't make them smaller. And so basically what I'm saying is Chopper has been not asking enough questions. He's just been sitting around not doing enough. And so I think Chopper's going to watch this whole summer situation, and he's probably going to... Hey, Cliff, I know you're excited. Cliff, come here. I know you're excited that the stream started. I know. You're saying hi to everybody. Cliff says hi. But I think Chopper is going to watch this summer situation, and I think he's going to, like... I don't know if he's going to use Brain Point to, you know, pick up on what the weakness is, but I think he's going to see what happens and make some kind of connection, and then maybe later he'll talk to Biblo and ask about it. Like, hey, I saw whenever this happened, you know, when he didn't regenerate X, Y, and Z, you know, I noticed this, and maybe Biblo will have a book about it. I don't know. But Chopper's going to notice something now that matters. That's the main point. Vex, you said Cliff D GOAT. Hey man, Cliff is the GOAT. You're right. Cliff has been doing great lately. He is like, I don't know if you guys remember, but he had a little bit of a back problem, and he is like jumping off the walls now. He's like a new dog. So I mean, he was only hurt for like a week, but Sway, you said I just watched that part. He didn't. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't looked and even noticed how long it was. I just know we talked for like 3 hours plus yesterday. And like I said earlier, I just recorded one with him for Redacted, so you guys will have another Sai and Dak collab. We talked about the Marines, kind of like, I mean, I hate saying it, but it's the truth. How the Marines are kind of mid right now. How the Marines really need a little bit of a boost. That's, you know, we were kind of talking, where are they going to get that boost from? Who is it going to be? What are the Marines going to do? Or the Admirals, I mean. So I think you guys will like that one. Alejandro said Tekking's been playing the TCG on Twitch and he's been using 3 blocker cards. Oh hell yeah! See, maybe I need to maybe I just need to start playing, and then I'll get Tekking on for a TCG tournament against each other. That might be kind of fun. And maybe we could get some viewers in too. Actually, that'd be kind of fun too. I never thought about that. I think I told you guys, but I want to do a video about the TCG where I get started, like, working on it, like, because I've never played, so I want to do a video from start to finish where, like, I go through how I learned, where I got my first deck, what my first deck was, my first time going to locals. Like, I want to make it like a vlog style thing. I don't know, I just need to get started on it at this point. I think I told you guys that I don't have my day job anymore, so I got plenty of time, so maybe I should. Alejandro said the Vice Admirals are strong. You know, if you remove Garp from the equation, I'm 50-50. Like, they should be strong, but I don't know. They had some good moments in Egghead, but they still, you know, it was a complete loss for the Marines, and so I'm just like, okay, if all the Vice Admirals went there, Kizaru was there, you even had a Gorosei, and you still lost, how do we redeem the Marines? Like, I don't know. Carl Jacobs, he said, would be cool if Chopper used what he figured out in Wano against Queen and made some sort of corrosive virus that hinders regeneration. Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, I really like that, because we already have we know that he already altered the drugs for Beppo to go Sulong without the moon out, right? So we know Chopper's already, you know, working on stuff. He's doing his drug dealer shenanigans, kind of like Caesar did. So I like that. And I think something that Sai and I talked about, I'm pretty sure we talked about it. I've recorded so much lately I can't remember, but during the fight with Kumadori in Ennis Lobby, which he used semi-Keycon or life return to, like, control his hair, Chopper had a comment that, like, oh, this reminds me of biofeedback, and that has not been mentioned ever since. That was just like a one-off comment. We don't know where Chopper heard that from. My guess is that he learned it from Kureha. That might even be how Kureha is so old, is biofeedback. And that leads me to why this might tie to Summers and stuff, which, if you guys saw that Sai collab, that's really what we talked about a lot, or at least that section of it. But, you know, with Kureha being really old, she might know a thing or two about immortality or how to stop it. And also, the reason that Chopper is named Chopper is because he had horns big enough to knock down a tree. And, you know, Scopper is obviously the mountain eater because he chopped down a bunch of trees. Drum Island looks like a bunch of tree tops or whatever. And so I think all that might come into play where maybe all that Drum Island stuff and the immortality and biofeedback, life return, I could see a world where all that comes into play here with the Gods Knights. Vex, you said Vice Admiral Strawberry is Pirate King level for one-tapping Fisher Tiger. Honestly, though, like, I hate Strawberry for doing that, but he might be the most accomplished Vice Admiral not named Monkey D. Garp. Just for that one thing alone. It's very impressive. You're telling me Fisher Tiger was able to escape Marijois with all the slaves, but then he gets taken out by Vice Admiral Strawberry. And I know he got ambushed. There's other people. It's more than that. But regardless, he gets the feat there. So, I don't know, man. It is kind of impressive for Strawberry. Cameron, you said Kong is going to mess some people up, I bet. Hey, man, I was just telling Sai that I wouldn't be surprised if Kong's epithet is the strongest Marine of all time. Which I know that's, like, insane. It's like, what are you talking about? But you know how Kaido is, like, the strongest creature, and all those kind of, like, big epithets? Like, I could see Kong being the strongest Marine. And, I know Garp's amazing, but Kong was around before him, so he would have got the epithet before, you know, Garp had his time. But I would also not be surprised if Kong just did nothing and I almost said Roger forgot about him, like Roger's the author. Oda just forgot about him or just didn't have time. You know, like Kong is either insane or nothing. Like there's no in between in my mind. Tosmore, you said sorry I'm late. Nah, man, you're right on time. I appreciate you, my man. Thank you for sliding in. But I'm here precisely whence I meant to be. That's what we're mind roping, my man. Literally, as I was saying that. Steve Irwin, you said, can you only do that if he has like a pill or something? I mean, Chopper. So anyone watching, Steve Irwin's my cousin, and I most of you guys probably know this already, but he does not know One Piece. He just comes to support and is figuring it out slowly. But I guess I'm not sure exactly on the context. If you're talking about the biofeedback thing, maybe that we don't know about. But Chopper takes these things called rumble balls that let him transform into extra forms, and it's an early spoiler. So if you just get into the first couple hundred episodes, you'll see that. But because he uses that, he's the doctor. He adjusts other drugs. Somebody adjusted his drug and made it better, and then he's adjusted other drugs to make other people stronger. So yeah, Chopper's a drug dealer at this point. He's the doctor and drug dealer, which are sometimes the same thing. Adam Tree said, could you see a situation mirroring going from Water 7 to Enies Lobby and back, where we start in Elbaf and have to go to Marijois and then back to Elbaf? That's interesting. I do expect us to get that that kind of like sister arc structure again. I don't know if it'll happen in Elbaf. Elbaf is a tough place because like Elbaf is so big that you could make it feel that way by having like a section of the story that mainly happens in the Sun Realm, and then maybe later we go to the Heaven Realm and have a section like the island is so big you could separate the arc that way. It's kind of like in Wano where we have different acts, but really like the last one is the Onigashima section. So I don't know if Elbaf will be the place where that happens, but I do see that sister arc thing happening again. Like Impel Down and Marineford's kind of the same way. So I can see it happening again, but I don't know if it'll be this arc, especially Marijois, because it's so far. Now, granted, Kuma is on the island, and if Kuma gets saved, Kuma could, make that a lot easier. But yeah, I'm a little 50-50 on that. Noah Ashton, you said, yo, love your videos. Y'all make the community great. Noah, thank you very much, bro. That seriously makes my day. And honestly, what makes the community great is the community in my mind. The community is why I make videos. Well, now that I've done it this long, there's also a financial element. I will never deny that part, but that's why I got started. The community was just so awesome. I'm like, let me share some thoughts and see what the people got to say. And now it's a career, which is really awesome. But definitely a hustler. Chopper is. Oh, Chopper is. Well, it depends. He's a hustler in the good way, but hustler in the sense of like given he's a drug dealer, a drug dealer hustler might say he's giving you one kind of drug, but it's a diluted, weaker kind. Chopper ain't doing that. Chopper's doing the opposite. Chopper's giving you the good stuff. Chopper is going to the highest quality, highest potency he's got, and dishing that out. So, but I agree in the good sense. I absolutely agree. R39 said, Dak, try One Piece Bounty Rush. I honestly should. It's kind of a sin that I haven't tried it yet. I definitely should. I'm gonna open up a tab with it, and so that way it'll remind me later to download it on my phone. But the fact if I pull it up, I won't forget. At least that's the idea. I definitely should, though. Rox D Quebec, love that name, by the way. How many chapters until we see the Heaven Realm, do you think? You know, if you would have asked me like 4 or 5 chapters ago, I would have said like 4 or 5 chapters because I felt like we were really close. But now that we're really deep into this, you know, this God's Night stuff, and the monster trio doesn't know that this is all happening, right? Like, Oda has sanctioned off the monster trio plus Loki plus Harudin and stuff. Like, a lot of the main forces of Elbaf have been sanctioned off to a separate place where they don't know what's going on, and Loki's still tied up anyway. And then the rest of the Straw Hats and the rest of Elbaf are in a separate thing dealing with this. So given that there's still this separation, it's kind of hard for me to say when the Heaven Realm will come into play, because, like, theoretically it could be in a chapter or two. We just take a second to go up there, we see your Rouge up there and stuff. But I don't think the issues going on in Elbaf right now will end that quickly. So I think it's kind of tough, honestly. Red, you said, what if Chopper uses his Sulong drugs and his Devil Fruit tries rejecting it? I'm glad you brought that up, because by Chopper being a reindeer with a human fruit, he's kind of like a forcibly made mink. That sounds like a really bad way to say it, but like he's a mink, but not really a mink. You know what I mean? He's an animal that can talk. And so I've always wondered, like, is there a way for Chopper to go Sulong? Like, not looking at the moon, but could he alter his drugs to give himself a Sulong form? Like, imagine Monster Point Sulong Chopper. Like, that would be pretty sick, I feel like. So Dexter, you said, let's see branch 7, please. So that's another thing, right? We're on branch 8. So going back to like the scale of the island, like we're spending all this time on one branch of the tree, you know? So like, I don't know. I don't know what Oda's planning with this arc. Like, it's so widespread. I don't know. It's just so geographically huge. ZMP323, member for 25 months, more than 2 years, dude. That is crazy. Thank you very much. Captain, I think Luffy saves Ronya and scares Gunko. So are you saying that like Luffy will go into Gear 5, go up there and save Ronya, and then Gunko will see Luffy in Gear 5 and get scared? I like that. The one, I wouldn't even say it's pushback, but maybe addition to that, that Sai and I talked about, again, I'm just going to keep referencing those collabs because I feel like we really got into some good ideas there. But like I just said, you know, Luffy and Zoro and Sanji and Loki and Harudin, they're all sanctioned off into the, you know, realm of the dead below the Sun Realm. And I don't know if we have enough information for this, but is it possible that Ronya is just right above Luffy and Loki and everybody? Like, if Ronya falls, will she just fall to where the monster trio is? Because if that happens, then it could set up a situation where Ronya falls, everyone thinks she dies, but she actually got saved by Luffy, and maybe all the kids fall, and they all get saved by Luffy because they're just falling where he is. And then you can go on the rest of the arc with all the giants being really sad and scared that the kids died and they're enraged. Then Luffy comes back with all the kids in Gear 5th, like, hey, I saved all these kids. Like, what happened to them? And then everyone's like, oh my god, you are the sun god. Like, you are the one that we're following. You know, you are the hero of the day. Like, all that stuff. Like, it would really build up the legend of Nika if Nika saved all the kids, right? Which that could work too if Luffy just goes up and does it, but I feel like her falling, and so they have to believe that she died for a while, would really build that up, because they'd have it like in their brain, oh my god, they're dead, they're dead, they're dead, and then Luffy convinces them that didn't happen. I would like it. All we could really say is that Luffy is digesting right now. Miguel, you are 100% correct. I really like how they had Loki and Luffy stuffed right next to each other. And it was also in the same midst of when Gunko was saying, like, who the Giants side with will change the future or change the outcome. Whatever that was. Like, she was hyping up whoever sides with the Giants, or whoever the Giants decide to side with will determine the fate or whatever. Right as she said that, we saw Loki and Luffy stuffed next to each other, and I think that is like, that's that Oda symbolism that just gets you hyped. Like, you know, he is hinting about something important when he lines up the text and the images in that way, right? It just really makes you feel it. So I think something's coming out of that for sure. Let's see. Alejandro, it's crazy that we are taking airplanes, the cloud boat, to fast travel all around Elbaf. I agree. That is like, that's the kind of thing that just got thrown in there and we're just accepting it and like talking about everything else, when really we should be like stepping on the brakes and being like, guys, we have flying ships now that aren't just the Arc Maxim. Like, the Arc Maxim was took all the scientists of Skypiea or whatever to make, and Enel had the electric fruit to help power it, and it was made with all this gold and all that. Like, it was a big time thing to make a flying ship like that. And now we just got boats with clouds that are just like, just everywhere. So that's one of those things that really should get focused on more. Tosmorn V Hall of Flames with a $20 super chat. Tosmorn, thank you very much, brother. I'd love for your opinion on Egghead being the Little Garden paralleled arc, while Elbaf and Drum are mirrored. Baroque Works is Old Gods Knights. Loki is literally Wapple. I don't think Louis R. Note's warning is a time warp thing. I will say I agree with your point about Louis R. Note there. That you don't think it's a time warp thing. Because, like, I think people can read that as, like, hey, if you stay here for a day, it might actually be 10 days. And I think that's possible. Like, I'm not going to rule that out, because if you go back to Little Garden, remember how they said, like, it would take a year for the log pose to update? That's not like a huge piece of evidence, but it makes me think, like, that's one of the only places that we ever heard that, like, hey, you're not going to be able to stay long enough for the log pose. But now we're kind of hearing the opposite thing. Like, Little Garden's like, hey, you have to stay here for a long time. And then Elbaf, it's the opposite. We're like, hey, don't stay here that long. So there is like a little bit of that. But I agree. I don't think it's necessarily a time warp. I think it might just be more of like, I would hope it's like, hey, if you stay here too long, like, you'll enjoy it. Or maybe it's just simply you can't tell how many days are going by because, like, the Sun Realm is, weird. Like, maybe because there's the Heaven Realm above it, maybe, like, the days on Elbaf don't feel the same, and so maybe the time might go by the same, but maybe it just, you can't tell because the days are shorter or something. But I don't think it's a warp, like you're saying. Like, I don't think it's a, I don't think it's a, we sit here for a day and 10 days goes by. But as for what you're talking about with Egghead being the Little Garden paralleled arc, while Elbaf and Drum are mirrored. So I will say, for one thing, I completely agree that Elbaf and Drum are mirrors. I completely agree. I would argue we've already gotten that heavily hinted with the Scopper stuff. I talked about it earlier, but Chopper being named after, being able to chop down trees with his horns. Scopper having a name that that rhymes with Chopper, and he cut down a bunch of trees and uses axes. Drum Island having those, tall tree stump mountains. Like, all that stuff really ties the Chopper and Scopper plot lines, which ties the Elbaf and Drum plot lines. Also, we met Jarl, who is the oldest living giant, and Kureha is the oldest living human. So if there was an arc for that, extreme age to get touched on, it should be here. So I completely agree with that. I guess the thing I'm a little curious about, and I'm kind of more so wondering what your evidence is for it, for Egghead being the Little Garden paralleled arc, because Egghead obviously already had parallels with Sabaody and Enies Lobby, and maybe even some other arcs, but those are the two big ones for me. And that doesn't exclude the chance that Little Garden could also be paralleled, but that's not one I usually think of. So you said Baroque Works is the old Gods Knights, Loki is literally Wapple. I like the Loki and Wapple thing. I agree with that. The Baroque Works is the old Gods Knights. That one's a little tough. Not that I don't see what you're saying, but I always picture the Gods Knight or Baroque Works as like, well, I was gonna say more like the 20 Kings, because there was 20 of them, because there was like, 0 through 9 in pairs, and that makes 20 people. But at the same time, the Gods Knights are from Saint families, so they would kind of be the 20 Kings. So maybe I could agree with that. I guess I'd have to think about that a little bit more. Nami falls sick, forces them to find a doctor. Vegapunk's body needs fixed. The lab is an Elbaf. Okay. The Nami element kind of makes sense a little bit. Like, Nami hasn't necessarily fallen sick, but they got drunk and she got lost and all that. So maybe a little bit. Well, I could see that for the for the drum stuff, but I just for Baroque or for Little Garden. Geez, I am like really bad with words today. But for the Little Garden thing, I mean, it's mainly Baroque Works. I'm just trying to think of how that ties to Egghead mainly. If you have any more evidence for that, I'll definitely touch on it. I'm struggling to think of the connections between the two, but Friend Harper here with the $5 super sticker. Keep it up. Appreciate you, Friend Harper. And actually, I like that you put the guy lifting weights there. I've been trying, not very successful, but I've been trying to go to the gym more often and eating better. Which, after my Cleveland Cavs lost, it was hard to stay motivated there for a couple days. But we're all good now. Only one team gets to win every year, and so we'll be back next year. But thank you, Friend Harper. And friend Harper, I still owe you an answer. I thought about it 5 times, I promise you. And then whenever I thought about it, I was like, well, I got to answer everyone else too. And then I never got to it. But friend, you know what? Right after this, it's going to happen. I'm going to answer you. I can't believe Jinbei lost to Gunko. That is one thing that's a little... Not that I would expect Jinbei to beat a Holy Knight, but Jinbei is with that group because, well, there's a lot of reasons, but I think part of what Oda's showing is that Jinbei's the strong one, like the strongest one of that group that is separated, and he just got easily clapped. And I don't know, Jinbei has a higher bounty than Sanji, and he's supposed to be, he's a newer member of the crew. I feel like this is a good chance for him to... we all love Jinbei, but for him to show what his role is, to build off of that a little bit, to give himself some moments that we can look back on and say, oh, I love when Jinbei stood up for the weaker part of the crew and protected them from the Gods Knights. Like, that would have been cool. But he did get, no diffed. So, it is what it is. Brandon King, you said, if Wano is Thriller Bark, which... I know there's some parallels there, but I don't 100% agree. But I know people say that. So, but I think Thriller Bark might be Elbaf. But anyways, I mean, it could be both. An Egghead Sabaody, then Elbaf would be Amazon Lily. Myths that are incorrect, like dying if you see their tattoos, or evil Loki, and Prince Loki / Snake Princess. I agree with Elbaf paralleling Amazon Lily as well, 100%. That was a big part of my first Elbaf video, which is almost at 1 million views, by the way. Major shout out to you guys. That came out almost 2 years ago now, but I feel like a lot of that still stands. Like, a lot of it has already been proven true to some degree, so I feel like that video is aging like wine right now. But regardless, thank you guys. That's crazy. But a big part of my video there was, hey, Amazon Lily is where the Marineford War started, or that's like where it officially kicked off, because Luffy found out in the paper that Ace was going to be executed. That's what led him to work with Hancock and getting the Impel down and all that stuff. That all happened because of Amazon Lily. And so you could argue that's what really kicked off the Marineford War. And then this is what's kicking off the final war. That was the major point of that video I did. and we literally heard from Gunko that we had the opening salvo of the final war. So, like, I completely agree about the Amazon Lily point for sure. We need Inazuma to fight Gunko. I'm trying to think. What, because he could, like, cut the arrow? Is that kind of what you're getting at? That would be really interesting. I didn't think about that. Now, I will say, if Gunko was able to no-diff Jinbei and the rest of the Straw Hats, I'm gonna feel a little weird if Inazuma comes in, you know, and beats Gunko. But that aesthetically, that'd be very cool. Lucky Beetle, you said the backstory we need to see are Joy Boy, Roxy, Zebek, and Emu. Yeah, and you know, like, the Joy Boy backstory, knowing that he was born in the Void Century at the start of it, that kind of automatically means that, like, we're not going to get his backstory until we get the Void Century explanation, which is kind of sad, but that just makes me even more excited to get the Void Century flashback. That's, like, I mean, like, of all the things I need to see in One Piece, like, Brook meeting Laboon is #1, and it will never not be #1, but obviously that's #1. So if I eliminate that one, then Void Century flashback is, like, probably my #1 thing I gotta see. Like, seeing the One Piece will be awesome too, but seeing the One Piece might not hit the same if I don't know about the Void Century first. You know, I mean, it might, but I think that Void Century flashback, man, that's the whole story. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici, one of my favorite names to say on YouTube. Remember when Zoro cut Monet and she couldn't bring herself back? I wonder if he unknowingly holds the secret to damaging the Holy Knights. So that's actually a really good point that that I was talking about earlier with Always Sunny in Ennis Lobby, which shout out to him. He has some really good videos if you haven't checked any of his out yet. But we were talking about that because I know Morge did a video on permanent infusion of Haki that might be the key to beating the Holy Knights. Admittedly, I haven't seen the video, but people have brought up certain points to me, so I know parts of it. So, you know, apologies if I butcher any of this in case I'm you know, wrong on some of it. But but that was actually a point we were talking about because, like, Zoro cut Monet using Shusui, which is a black blade, but didn't actually cut her. It was just like fear separated her. So it's a very interesting situation because you would think that, like, the black blade would be, like, the perfect example of the permanent infusion idea, but also with Monet, like, that didn't actually, you know, hurt her. So it's just a weird situation. It's like I didn't really think about that angle of it. So I do think that's interesting. Biori Gigi said fella's gonna cook. Welcome, Gigi. Appreciate you sliding in. But yeah, I like Morge's permanent infusion idea. If you guys haven't seen the video, definitely go check it out. Even though I haven't seen it, whenever I have enough people message me about it, I know it's a good video just by that. So definitely recommend checking that out for sure. What was I gonna? Oh, Nick Ilvento, which I still need to send your cards back out, by the way. I went and picked up envelopes today because I was out of them, so should be out today. But do you think Summer's hand stays cut, or does Scopper's Haki just slow the regen down? So that, I think, is a really good question, because, like, you know, going back to the whether it's permanent infusion or just Haki infusion in general, because we know from Luffy with Rio that you can send your Haki into other people and it does extra damage. So we know, well, yeah. So we know that you can do more damage doing it that way. So I think the argument is, like, is there another level? Like, can you infuse it even further? Can you infuse it permanently so that it just stays there? So I think as far as, like, is his hand really cut off, or is it just the regeneration it doesn't work? Because there is kind of a difference there, right? Because if it's the regeneration is just stopped, then does that mean that his hand will regenerate once Scopper is out of the area, or if Scopper gets knocked out? Or if it's actually cut off, then it doesn't matter what anybody does, then it's just gone. So I think that is an important question. I am of the mind that it is just off permanently, that it doesn't regenerate. But but I want to add a caveat and say, I think it could also be that this version of Summers we see is like a shadow clone or something. Like, it might not actually be him. And so while it might be permanently off, it might just be that none of this actually damages him in reality. Like maybe you can defeat this shadow clone version and that'll send Summers back to where he originally was. Like, it'll cancel the transformation or the teleportation or whatever. But I don't know if it'll actually kill him. Like, I think there might be more to it than that. I really like the idea that they're, you know, like, they start Marijois, they activate the circle, and only once they go through the circle do they get the regeneration, right? Like, if you went to Marijois and fought Summers, would he also have regeneration? I'm not 100%. I think that's a good mystery. So I don't know. I think it's a really good mystery that Oda has introduced. By the way, Knack Reacts, my guy with the 5 gifted memberships to the Afro Gang. Thank you very much, Knack. Let's see who we got. Hardboil, Cloudy, Dow, Purple, JR Writer, everyone joining the Afro Gang. Appreciate you. And everyone, and Knack, you guys can thank Knack for this. I'm doing that TCG giveaway tomorrow. If you want to sign up to get a chance for some free cards, not guaranteed, I'm going to spin a wheel and we'll see who wins. All you guys who just got memberships, you can go sign up. It's on the community tab right now. Just go and comment. It's available for every country now, which is super awesome. I void where prohibited. I don't think I can send stuff to North Korea, but most of you guys should be eligible, so that'd be awesome. But Tosmorn, saw you had to super chat right before that. Conquerors is all about spiritual will. In my opinion, it's soul or spirit cutting or damage. Your spirit breaks or your will goes, and it doesn't matter how tough you are. So Conquerors is all about that. So are you saying this in relation to Summers in any way? Because we know Luffy, from what Kaido said in Wano, Luffy is always coded in Conqueror's Haki whenever he's in Gear 5th. He's coded in Armament and Conqueror's Haki, I think Kaido said, which is just crazy. But I just say that because we know Luffy was, fighting the Gorosei in Egghead, but he couldn't do any damage, even though he was presumably using Conqueror's Haki. And that's what makes me really question what's happening now with Scopper, because if it's just like more Conqueror's Haki or stronger Conqueror's Haki, or however you want to put it, or imbuing it further into somebody, it's kind of like, I mean, Luffy's already, near Kaido Haki level. Like, how much more is there to grow in just like strength or just knowledge of it? But like, if we're talking, you talked about soul or spirit cutting damage. Like, if that's maybe where this is going, where it's like, oh no, like, you have the right Haki, you're just not attacking the right thing. Like, maybe Scopper is attacking Summer's shadow. That's something I would really like. Turning what we learned from Thriller Bark on its head, where Moria was able to contort Orz's body and make him stretch even without the fruit. Well, think about that in reverse. If you did Shadow Revolution, but then maybe you had like a beam of light go and separate the shadow into 2, would that cut Orz in half? I think it would. That should be how it works logic-wise. So part of me wonders, like, is it just using Haki to go for the shadow, and then that lets permanent damage happen? So I'm not sure, but I agree in general that Conquerors or Haki in general is spiritual will. Like, I don't know if it's the exact same, but you know how Big Mom took people's lifespans and then was able to give that to inanimate objects and make homies? I almost view it that way, where like you're drawing on your own will, your soul, your lifespan, your own life force or whatever to make Haki. And again, that's why I'm like a little 50-50 on Haki being the answer for Scopper and Summers, which it's the easy answer. I think it's like the, if Vegas had betting lines for this, that would be for sure the leading option, but feels like a little, I wanted something a little special with this. Like cutting the shadow would be cool. Maybe you need to like learn how to use Abyss powers. Like if you can't wield the Abyss in your attacks, you can't hurt people with the Abyss. That might be kind of cool, maybe. But yeah, no, I generally agree with what you're saying, though. I see you had some follow-ups on them. Let me see what you're saying. Yes, conquers follows your will. I think you have to focus on attacking their spirit. Yeah, so something like that where it's like you have to use your Haki to attack their Haki, or use it to attack their soul or their will, or remember how we learned about the 21 grams of soul that leave your body when you die? Maybe you have to aim for that. Like, I think all of that would, that would be more fun than just more Haki for me. Like, and I don't like saying more Haki like it's just simply that. I get, whether it's permanent, imbuing, whatever the right term is, or maybe just building on any of the Haki lessons we've had. Like, I think there could be some fun there, but I want something outside the box. That's what I want. Yeah, and Doron, like you said, there's another soul everyone has, their shadows. Exactly. Like, imagine the circle activates, you go into the circle to be teleported, except it's not your body that comes out the other end. What if your physical body stays in the abyss, like in the darkness, and then whatever comes out the other end is probably your shadow? Like, maybe you send your shadow through, and that's why they can transform, and that's why they can regenerate. It's not a physical body, it's just like an astral projection, a shadow clone of themselves. And so you have to know to affect the shadow directly, which that could be Haki to attack a shadow. And so that might make it more Haki, but that goes back to what I was saying, where like, this is a little more fun than just stronger Haki or more. It's a reapplication, right? A rethinking of it. That's what I want. I think I saw another super chat up here that I don't want to forget. Oh yeah, Knack Reacts, my guy. I don't want to miss this one. What'd you say? If we're just spitballing, thoughts on Zoro seeing the Reaper? We are just spitballing, and I'm glad you brought this up because, going to the Abyss angle of it all, I kind of feel like the Abyss is just the underworld, or close to it, right? We also saw Nushjuro, whenever he came out of the circle and was in his Bakotsu form, he was able to have ice attacks, and we know from Brook that you get those ice powers from the underworld. So I think that with Zoro seeing the Reaper, I think this could all be going towards a point where, like, the Abyss is the underworld, Zoro obviously has ties to Hell already, and so I don't know if maybe, like, the Reaper would have hinted to Zoro something about the Abyss, or maybe Zoro will be someone who already knows or has an idea on how to beat the Abyss powers because of that. Because you look back to, like, Ashura, I think we talked about this last stream I had, but like, that is one of the biggest mysteries that Oda's ever laid out there. Like, Zoro triples himself, and Ashura and I might be butchering a little bit of this, but I know I'm somewhat close. In Hinduism, Ashura is like the evil guy in that, is like the demon, like the devil guy in that mythology, I believe, right? It's underworld or hell related regardless. And so Zoro has all these hell things, so I think the Reaper might end up being, like, I don't want to say a teacher, but maybe like a final test, like, as to what the Reaper is. Look, man, I like the idea that it's Pluton's Klabautermann. I thought that was cool. I like the idea that it's a hallucination from the mink drugs. Or maybe it literally is just the Grim Reaper. Like now that we have the pentagram circle summoning nonsense, like, it could be that Grim Reaper was in the underworld and just teleported up. Like, maybe there is a Grim Reaper in One Piece. Like, I mean, we're in a shonen manga. Like, I wouldn't say that's the craziest thing. So yeah, long story short, I'm not sure what the hell that thing is, but I think it's gonna tie to this, the circles, the underworld stuff, etc. Let's see. Nick, you said Tekking mentioned the idea of being able to unlock a personal Haki trait once having advanced conquerors. I do like that idea. I agree with that, because now I don't know if that would be the key to beating the regeneration. But I do think every Straw Hat will get their own version of conquerors. So, like, maybe like Nami can control the weather and Sanji can hear people all around the world, or which I know that would be like observation, but I think we're gonna find out you can mix conquerors and observation just like you mix conquerors and armament, right? Like right now conquerors is just like supreme armament, kind of, right? Like you're just punching stronger. That's essentially what it is. But we need to see that with observation. And so Sanji hearing people all over the world. I also think that's what Scopper did when he fought Luffy, is he had the Conqueror's observation combo. Because remember how Luffy was in Gear 5, and Zoro was also there too, and Scopper was dodging all the attacks, and it was like no problem. I think he has a higher level of observation because of Conquerors, or he's canceling other people's, right? And that actually leads me to another idea for the Scopper and Summer situation, is like, we know from Shanks that you can have Conquerors strong enough to cancel observation Haki. What if the immortality is Haki related and Scopper's just canceling that, right? Like it's not necessarily that he's doing anything to him, he's just stopping him from doing what he was trying to do, which I think is a little bit of a different, it's like reversing it a little bit. I would like that. Lucky Beetle, you said this is not Usopp's arc. I mean, not yet, assuredly, but eventually I hope so. I mean, I would say I know so. Not that I have any insider info, but if this arc does not pan out for Usopp, that he has no hope. You know, he's got no hope, because it's so far Usopp has not looked good. Like even when remember like the first chapter when the monster trio was getting hurt and like by, what was it, the Iscat, the cat, whatever, those random animals at the start, and Luffy even clowned on him like, wait, I thought you could take him or whatever. So yeah, Usopp hasn't looked good at all. Brandon King, Dak, theory time. Blackbeard accidentally learns to access the abyss thanks to his Yami Yami awakening. I love that. The only thing I would maybe throw out there is maybe this is the reason he was searching for it all the time. Because you said accidentally learns. I'm wondering if maybe he knew that from the start. Like, hey, to access the abyss, you either need to do whatever the hell Emu's doing. I don't know how Emu started all this. Or maybe you need just the dark fruit to do it. And I think that'd be kind of cool. Like, you know how Blackbeard, you know, like pulls stuff into his darkness? Is that like, I could see him pulling it into like the abyss. Like, what if the darkness is just the abyss already and he knows that? And you know, there's a little bit of a caveat there, because the abyss they're using, like, I don't know how it would all intersect. Like if the abyss is like a separate place, you know, is it like a physical place on this plane? Is it a new dimension? I have no idea, but I would like that. Tazmorny said, if Oda chooses willfully not to take advantage of all the build-up for his character, I don't know, I would die. I agree. I 100% agree. I'm still debating what my next video will be, because I have a few in the cooker right now. One has I've already started editing, but I decided halfway through I should wait till a few more anime episodes come out so I don't spoil people, because it's a more general video. But I was thinking about doing a video on Usopp's lineage, and part of what you're talking about there, Tazmorn, like, you know, if you look at all the lineages of the Straw Hats, they all have a special lineage so far, whether it's their direct lineage, like their parents, or where they're from, or their race, like whatever it is, their lineage in some way is very important so far. Luffy's obviously the son of Dragon, grandson of Garp, you know, D-Clan, he's got a lot of stuff going for him. You know, Zoro is a child of the like people who left Wano, right? And they founded this island in the East Blue, so it's like a remote Wano-esque island, and he's from there. And you know, his family were originally samurai, and what was his name? Ushimaru, or whichever Shimotsuki, looked just like Zoro. Like, so we know he has some stuff. Sanji with Germa, obviously. Nami's hasn't been fully revealed yet, but we know that she, you know, was in Oikot, and they were protected by the government, so they were government affiliated. So that's led to a lot of theories that Nami maybe, is from royalty or something. So she hasn't been uncovered yet either, but she has a lot of stuff that makes it seem like she could be. Jinbei's a fishman. Frankie, I mean, he's related to Queen, which I don't know if that's really special, but regardless, he's a cyborg now, so he has like lineage in that way where he's just a unique race, even though that's different because it happened after birth. But you know what I mean? They all have important stuff, but Usopp really doesn't yet, right? Yasop, is he really strong and important? Yes, but he's a normal guy. Usopp, for all intents and purposes, is a normal dude. And with the way Oda is setting this up, like, he should not be a normal guy. Like, he will be, but he's got to have some special stuff. Like, Oda has set up Usopp as this normal guy who is built to do amazing things, and if he doesn't deliver on that, I'm gonna be real sad, for sure. I agree with that. Onaj, you said, I mean, Usopp is 100% a descendant of Noland. I agree with that. I agree, but it's not like he lied about it at one point, but we don't know that yet. We also don't even know what his family name is, which I think it's probably Mont Blanc Usopp, to be honest with you. And you said, I hope Noland also has a connection to Elbaf like he did Dressrosa. 100%. 100%. I've been preaching for a while now that Jarl met Noland, and I'm still banking on that. If I could have one Elbaf theory come true, that's the one I want. Is that Noland for sure? And yeah, and I think the thumbnail I have in my head, which I usually like doing the script before I do the thumbnail, but I was thinking about having Usopp and maybe Noland and have text that says Mont Blanc de Usopp, and then the title will be like Usopp's special lineage. But that might be a little bit too obvious. Not obvious, but there's more to it than that. Long story short, I think Usopp is probably a Dosendata, as I think Noland also was, which would be hybrid of giants and Tentada, and obviously they both, well, Usopp has ties to the giants and Tentada, so that's obvious. Noland already has ties to the Tentada. We're waiting for the giant lore, and so I think it would be a good discussion video there, I feel like. Lucky Beetle, you said Usopp is called a god. He defeated Sugar, Perona, and Mr. Four and has a bounty of 500 million, so he's already a brave warrior of the sea. And it's funny, I feel like a lot of the world would agree with you, like a lot of the One Piece world at least, because they think the things you're talking about. But Usopp will not be a brave warrior of the sea until he believes it, and that's why his dream is arguably my favorite dream out of all the Straw Hats. Now, Brook's dream is to go meet Laboon, and I can't count that one. That's off the ranking chart because that's just so obvious that that's going to be number one. But other than that, I think Usopp's might be my favorite for that reason, because he's the one who's got to feel that way. If he doesn't, it doesn't matter what everyone else says, and that's his thing. He's got to get confidence in himself. He's got to believe, and I can't wait. There's a lot of things Oda could do to make that happen, but I know he's gonna cook. RQ, you said, sorry if I'm butchering that name, by the way. Do you still think that your Rouge will show up in Elbaf? 100%. I love your pre-Elbaf theory with him. Thank you very much. That video did really well, and I'm not gonna lie, there's been 3 or 4 times where I was like, okay, I really want to do another Your Rouge video, but I know that one is still sitting out there. I'm going to wait till Your Rouge pops up, but the second Your Rouge appears in Elbaf, you guys, like, maybe not the second, but like the next day, you're going to see a Your Rouge video on my channel. Trust me. Like that, all I got to see is his face, and I'm off to the races. But I do think he will show up. My guess has been that he's in the Heaven Realm right now. I think the Heaven Realm will be like a graveyard, and he's like a priest, a holy man, so he's probably up there praying. And I think the juiciest thing is that he's praying over Harold's grave, because him and Harold maybe had some connection. I would love if the idea is that Harold started trading with the Birkins, like using Burka to start a lot of his international trade. And so that's how he met Your Rouge. Maybe the Birkins became really good friends with the Giants because of that. And so he has like a lot of love for Harold, even if Harold is questionable. I think from Your Rouge's perspective, it would make sense. So 100%. And, Rouge has been the least focused supernova. Every supernova's had their arc so far. It's time. It's where, you know, I don't know where else this could happen. I mean, Lodestar maybe, if we go to the moon maybe, but Rouge is coming to Elbaf. That's why we haven't seen the Heaven Realm. Personally, that's why I think so. Let's see, we got a couple more super chats. Thank you guys. Tazmorn, again, appreciate you, Taz. History is made by the confluence of millions of wills through time, catalyzed by the choice of one to finally push a bit further than before. Lineage is the representation of this in the One Piece world. And I love that. That was very eloquent, my man. And I agree, because when I say lineage, yes, I am referring to family, race, the biology side, but kind of like you're talking about, lineage can also be the will that you inherited, right? You said history is made by the confluence of millions of wills through time. That's what did Dragon say in chapter 100? Like, there's these three things can't be stopped. The ebb and flow of the ages, a man's dream, and the inheriting of one's will, or something to that effect. It's the same thing. Like, people inherit that will further and further, and it does tend to be that your offspring, your direct lineage, the people you're close to, it tends to be that they carry your will because you maybe had a good vision that they agreed with, that you took care of them, whatever reason. But that's not what always happens. Like, think about Ace and Roger. They're a great example. Roger's like, my son will go find the One Piece. Well, guess what, Roger? Your son didn't like you very much, you know, and there's a lot of, you know, like reasons why that are maybe out of his control to some degree and whatever. Like, he also died before Ace was born, stuff like that. But regardless, like, it's always about who inherits the will, right? Like, Luffy inherited Roger's will, not Ace. So it's, you know, there's some give and take there, but I completely agree. Lineage is the representation of this in the One Piece world, because most times it does tend to be your offspring. But we know in One Piece, found family is a huge lesson. So you think back to Whitebeard, people are carrying his will, and he didn't have biological kids, other than Weevil. But that's a whole other discussion. So yeah, totally agree, Tazmorn. Very, very eloquent as well. Smooth Weeb with the Canadian $2. Why do only races mixed with giants get specific names? I'm trying to think about that a little bit. So I guess are you saying that, like, the half fishmen aren't getting names? Like, if you're half fishman, half human, there's not like a specific name for that. Is that what you're getting at? But all the giant ones do, like Buccaneers, because they have the blood of the giants in them. If the Dosundata really are part giant, which I think is very, very, very likely. That's a good question, man. That is a good question. I've never thought about that, to be honest with you. Yeah, and Wotan, because, like, when you're half fishman and half giant, you get a name. But if you're like Chimney isn't a special thing. Is Jack a half fishman? I think he's half. But I know he's, he's. What kind is he? I gotta look it up. I used to know this like the back of my hand, because my first ever YouTube video talked about this, but now I can't remember. What kind is he? It starts with a B, I feel like. Oh my gosh, come on. I look up Jack One Piece and it's not the top result. Okay, there it is. Giant Grouper. Okay, it's not B. I think there's another name for that starts with B, but Giant Grouper is what he is. Is he half? I can't see it. Whatever. We know Chimney's half, or, well, quarter, whatever it is, and she didn't get a special name. So yeah, that is weird. I've never noticed that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, Smooth Weeb, you added an extra fold in my brain. My guess is that, you know, the government wanted to gigantify people for a really long time. And so I'm guessing that the races that were part giant were just, like, more important or more powerful, or like they did things to get the notoriety to be, you know, named something else, where, like, if you're half fishman, half human, you were probably human enough to where they just didn't say it. Like that would be kind of like my weak reasoning, but I don't know. I want to think about that more. Because also these races likely have been around since even before the Void Century. I don't know if that's necessarily confirmed for all of them, but we know the Fishmen were around back then. You know, the Buccaneers, we don't know that much, but the way that Saturn was talking to Kuma about how, like, you know, you got like they know too much about Nika. I can't remember exactly what he said. I think Kuma said that he wants to be just like Nika, and Saturn's like, well, that's why your people had to be erased, which I feel like is a Void Century thing. I don't really know, though. Lunarians, they were around back then. So, like, we know a lot of these races were around. Long arms and long legs were also around more than 1,000 years ago. So they were all around a long time ago. So now we have to ask why the Ancient Kingdom did that, or why the people of the past did that. And that's a whole other ball game. So I don't really know. I don't know. That's a crazy question, like in the best way possible. That's insane. Knack reacts, Canadian $7. Knack, thank you very much, my man. Seriously, we gotta wait. Knack, did you play Uno with us? I can't remember. I know you were like in the chat one of the times. I can't remember, but I was gonna say we gotta play Uno soon. Whoever is down to play Uno, we gotta play once I finish Expedition 33. But you said, I think all the races are hybrids. We just don't know yet. So Fishmen, Skypians, Shandorians, all ancient hybrids. Well, I kind of agree with that. I guess, like, when you say Fishmen are hybrids, like, they're already a hybrid of, like, a human and a fish, and then minks are already, like, a hybrid of a human and an animal. And so is that kind of what you're saying? Like, and so Skypians, I guess Skypians would be, like, a bird and a human. That's, like, a little bit weirder, but... Knack, you said, I'll be there, but I don't play. Ruins friendships. Oh, it does. It does. That's why Uno is awesome. because of the friendship strain. Yeah, Knack, I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, so what would giants be? Like, because like I said, fishmen, human and fish. Skypians, human and bird-ish. Lunarians, I don't even know what that would be. Like, Satan, I feel like, because, like, they're all black. They can survive in harsh conditions, control fire. Like, I don't know, but that's interesting. That's like, then I'm just thinking giants. I mean, maybe the Ancient Kingdom successfully figured out how to gigantify people, and that's what created the giants, you know? I mean, it might just be that simple. So maybe they're I don't know what they would be a hybrid of exactly, but... Brandon King, Uno and Monopoly, ruining friendships since 1905. Honestly, though. Honestly. Onaj, you said, who do you think is the main villain of Elbaf? I still think it's Shamrock, and he just left so that the lower Straw Hats could shine for now. You know, that is, like, a really hard question. Like, I could see Shamrock coming back. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I personally would doubt it a little bit, just because, like, he was just introduced this arc, right? And so if he comes back and is the main villain and actually gets defeated this arc, then it's like, I don't know if his story will be completely locked into just this arc. And, like, sure, maybe he doesn't die, and then maybe he can have a role later, but I feel like Oda is more trickling the Shamrock plotline, and then that'll come to a head later. That's just the vibe I get. I could be wrong. But Shamrock is, like, strong enough for that, right? Because I don't think the God's Knights that we have right now are the final villain. I definitely agree with that idea. I feel like, not that they're not threatening enough, because, like, if we don't know how to beat the regen, they are really threatening. But now that we already have the regen, it's like, there's no way they're the final boss, right? I think there's a chance it could still be Loki, and not that I think Loki is actually bad or that he won't be on our side eventually. But remember, he had that deal where, like, hey, whoever frees me, I'll go beat up one crew of your choice. And he's not fully free yet. Like, they left one shackle on. And so if Kid comes by and frees him, then maybe Loki will you know, go after the Straw Hats, or even go after the Red Hair Pirates or something. So it's really tough, man. And like I think Kaido and Big Mom could come back. So which they wouldn't be the final villain, but they'd make everything a lot crazier and harder to read. Shiki could still pop up. I think that's because honestly, the fact that we saw Jarl this arc, who has a sword in his head, and then Shiki is the guy with the steering wheel in his head, I feel like that's setting up like this could be the time. So I don't know, like it's really tough. I feel like there's so many possibilities for the final villain. Like Loki is probably of the right strength to be the final villain, to be like a real test for Luffy, because Luffy just fought Kaido. Like, how are we going to follow that up? I mean, Loki might be related to Kaido or something, right? So I don't know. I think that's a really, really tough question right now. Kuya, I saw you pulled up, Kuya. Thank you for sliding in, my man. Always Sunny in Ennis Lobby, bro. I mentioned you a little bit ago. Actually, well, I can't remember exactly when I mentioned you, because we talked about a few things, but I feel like you and I were, it was in regards to the Haki thing that I brought up, that you and I were talking about earlier today. You said Shiki chilling in Heaven Realm. You know, like, well, I was gonna say, you know, I got your Rouge up there, and I don't know if those two would mix, but actually, remember last time we saw your Rouge, he was up on Balloon Terminal, and he met Kaido, of all people, and Kaido just fell off and whatever. Well, Kaido is a past Rocks pirate. Shiki is a past Rocks pirate. Maybe Shiki and Yarouge are up there. Maybe Yarouge is always in the clouds hanging out with, you know, goats of the past era. I don't know. I could see something like that. Let's see. Onaj, you said, the thing is that we need a Shanks parallel in this arc, right? And Shanks is not showing up. I agree Shanks isn't showing up. I'm not 100% that we need a Shanks parallel, and I get why people feel that way. I think this arc, Shanks is very closely tied to this arc. Now that we have Shamrock here, this seems like an arc where we should really get some Figarland talk, right? It feels that way. But I don't know if we necessarily need like Shanks or Shamrock here to facilitate that. It would be easier and probably to a lot of people better if they were there, or one of them, to talk about it. But, you know, Loki and a lot of the Giants have been around a really long time, and obviously with the Giants, a lot of them being friends with Shanks, I think it could be a world where, you know, we hear from Giants their differing perspectives on Shanks and maybe what happened with Harold and stuff. I think people have talked about that maybe Shamrock teleported in and he was the one who killed Harold and Loki got blamed, and there could be like a cool plot line from there where the Giants are like, wait, no, we like Shanks. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh no, he's got an evil twin brother that did this. And they're like, wait, good guy Shanks is tied to bad people. What's, like, you know, so the Giants could have that discussion for us. So yeah, I'm not 100% that either need to be there, but I do agree it would be easier for sure. And I think a lot of people would really like to see Luffy versus Shamrock, because then it's like Luffy versus Shanks, like the prequel kind of, and that would be kind of cool. So I wouldn't complain at all if Shamrock pulled up, honestly. But I don't know if he's necessary. And also, I saw somebody earlier say Shamrock hasn't left. Was it? Oh, it was Tazmorn. There was a panel after Shamrock said he left where Scopper said, like, I can sense three presences on the island, or something to that effect, which seemed to imply, okay, there's only 3 Gods Knights here still, which would be Gonko, Killingham, and Summers. So I think he did leave, but again, these circles, man, you can come back in the arc whenever you feel like now. Like, it's no longer where logistics matter. I mean, they do for 90%, but you know, now, I mean, the Gorosei could pop up next chapter if they want to, which that'd be crazy. I don't see that happening, but it could. Brandon King, you said all the creatures we've seen on Well, you said plus. Was there a preceding point? Hold on, let me see. Also, Brandon King,